And man, if you're an adult and out of shape, you're not just tired, you're trending toward weakness, disease, and a diminished life.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 6 of the Leadership Ignition podcast, brought to you by the leadership team where faith, family, fitness, and finance unite to help you level up your life. I'm Shane Beckham.
And I'm Mike Huff, and we are both coaches and owners of the Leadership Ignition team, and we are ready to help you get lit. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about today, Shane. Adults, we tend to lose our fitness over time, don't we? And there's a high cost to that. There's a mental cost and a medical cost and a financial cost. And, people, as they become adults, there's a million reasons why that happens. We're going to talk about that, of course. And, one of the things that I think about is then when adults start to figure out they've got a problem, they want to address it, the first thing they turn to is cardio, because that's what we've been trained, right? Go run, go do it. And we're going to talk about there's other ways and other things to think about, not just what you put out in terms of cardio, but what are you doing with your strength? What are you doing with your nutrition, et cetera? And so at the end, we'll give you some practical tips on what you can do to get strong, to get fit, starting today. How's that sound to you, Shane?
So, part of the problem that we see, Mike, is the slow decline in overall life. Everything starts to happen and the snowball, right? It's that domino effect you and I talk about a
Yeah,
lot.
man. It's the family, the commitments, the job, right?
So why is it that typically starts first? Well, the first thing that we typically lose control of, or we start letting slide the most, unfortunately, is our physical fitness. Muscle loss starts to occur, weight gain, chronic pain, low energy. All of that is because we begin to focus on things that aren't truly congruent to who we want to be anymore. Because why? We start chasing everything else, attitude, the job, family, like all those things are important. However, every little thing has its own little piece of the pie. So, in our opinion, which is greatly related to once we refound fitness, it changed everything in our life, right? It's when we let that piece of our life start sliding away, everything else started getting a little bit more complacent, a little bit more comfortable until all of a sudden what we saw in the mirror we didn't like anymore. We didn't like the person that we were becoming because we had gotten loose with our metabolism is changing. Everything's working against us. So if you don't make a decision at some point, the decline is going to keep going down, right? You're already on a slippery slope because Father Time is undefeated. And Father Time will rob you of muscle, bone density, and all the things. So what we want to talk about, Mike, is the cost of not only yourself but medical that can happen when you lose that part of your body with that decline. It's not just the cost, it's the brain fog, it's the anxiety, it's the lack of confidence. All those things are happening mentally. And then when you go into that leadership role, what is happening as a leader when you start losing that confidence? Because that's effectively what you start to lose. So your presence is lowered, your influence is less, your capacity is lower. All of those things are happening, because the physical effects of that stress without that avenue of fitness can cause that. So one of the key facts that we came up with is after 30, people start to lose 3 to 5% muscle mass per decade. So I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, Mike. Sarcopenia, right, is muscle loss due to aging. So to that point, every decade after the age 30, you can lose up to 10% of your muscle mass. That is a compounding effect, sir. And 30 is not that old. 50 is not that old. But if you think about that, think about how much you're actively losing. So if you're not going to actually train your body, all of that can effectively start going away. And then what else is happening? Our belts and our pant sizes are usually getting bigger, right? We're getting more and more unhealthy by the day, and that branches out into every other avenue of our life. Sir, that is part of the slow decline, and it's a slippery slope that I don't want to see anybody go down to. So, Mike, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your story because you were on this path, man. You were on the path of the slow decline. You had a lot of great things going, but there was a part of your life, that missing puzzle piece. I want to leave you with this before you tell your story. When I'm with a client in the gym, I'm sitting at my desk and they're sitting across from me. And I say, pretend that you and I just put together this massive puzzle and there's one piece missing out of this puzzle. If I open up the drawer and we spent all this time putting it together and I had this piece in my hand and I put that piece of the puzzle in front of you, if you were to write one word on it to complete this puzzle, what would it be? That's what the missing piece is. And, sir, you have found it. And I'm curious to hear you tell part of that story to our listeners.
I would be honored to, because I love to tell a story to all kinds of people who knew me before, people who've known me after and see me now as a super fit person. They ask me, have you always been this way, et cetera? The answer is no. And so I'm going to walk us all through that. But a couple of things you said that I just want to hammer home on that were true for me is, as you lose muscle, it's a self-perpetuating problem. The more muscle you lose, the more likely it is that you're going to gain fat on your body, because it's the muscle on your body that eats the fat. And if you get as you lose muscle mass, that just means you have less natural ability to fight that fat gain. And that's absolutely what happened to me. And leadership impact. I'm sure people won't say it to me because they just won't. But you look, you're judged based on how you look. We don't have to like it. We don't have to want to be that person that does the judging. But the truth is, that's how our society works. And so when you stand in front of a crowd and you are 275 pounds like I was, they respected, I'm sure, me for my position. They respected me for the decisions I've made and not the way I've treated them. I'm sure that's all true. But there had to have been some part of them that was saying, is that really the guy I want to follow? Right? That's all changed. That's all changed back to everything's now in sync. The one puzzle piece I was missing. And what happened to me was what happens to everybody. I mean, I live on the road. I'm 40 to 50 hours a week on the road somewhere, 3 to 4 days a week. I mean, heck, I live half my life in Atlanta and half in Louisville. And so, there wasn't time. At least I thought there wasn't time. And man, if you're an adult and out of shape, you're not just tired, you're trending toward weakness, disease, and a diminished life. But it doesn't have to stay that way, because that's what was happening to me. I was high blood pressure, high cholesterol, couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without sucking wind, right? And it was this idea that I've got everything else. I've got a great family. I've got great finances. I've got a great role and faith in my life, and I didn't have fitness. We just got back from a weekend, Shane, in national parks. Went to Yellowstone and Grand Tetons, and it was awesome. We were walking around, enjoying ourselves, enjoying nature, doing million-mile hikes and crawling up mountains. And we felt good because Michelle and I have taken a path towards fitness. But we're looking at the folks around us who are trying to enjoy themselves and are truly not able to. And I remember that being me. That's how I used to be. And so I just felt pleased about being able to get that fixed. And so all those impacts in your life, when you lose that fitness, as you go from a young person to an older person, all those things get in your way. They can be destructive, and if you don't grab a hold of them, that could be the end. I could have went from 275 to 400 to 5. Who knows what would have happened? But I do know I would have continued to impact my health, and I would have continued to impact my ability to enjoy life. And I am so glad that one day I woke up and got that all fixed. But Shane, so we all know that, but we still let it slide anyway. Why do we do that?
Well, before I get to that, I want to ask you one question.
Sure.
And it's something that I see happen a lot. You and I are approximately the same age. I do believe you are a month older than me. If I'm
No, but I'm better looking. So
You've definitely got more hair. But so what I see a lot of, okay, and this is not an assault of anybody's. Do not take it as that. This is my opinion based off observation. Social media is a wonderful jewel, right? We talked about that last week some. It's a love-hate thing. But there's no hiding that America is changing in a pattern that's not conducive to health. Like, maybe 1 out of 50 what I would be considered to be, and what I would say is in shape. And I mean, I'm not talking ugly about anybody. It's just the reality of the situation that we're in. Now, the reason I bring that up, and so people won't throw daggers at me when they listen to this, it's the mentality is, well, it is what it is. I'm already here. This is just who I am. That's false comfort, sir. That is a reality that people get trapped in because of the hesitation to start. It's here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going somewhere with that statement. The false comfort trap. I'm too busy. I
yep.
don't have enough time. Okay. Yep. To me, that is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. You're not too busy to go outside and walk for 20 minutes a day. You can't tell me that you can't find that time. I won't believe you, because As the adage says, I'll say, pull your phone out and show me your screen time. When that is zero, then I will agree with you. You probably are too busy to do much of anything. However, it's we tell ourselves we're just too busy or we're just too tired. And we're not. It's about the willingness to go. Reading that Let Them book.
Yes.
One of the main tactics that anybody could use starting right now is the launch sequence backwards. When you say you're too tired, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Start moving. It's that simple. But people overcomplicate it. You know why? Because they're comfortable. They don't want to give up the food they eat. You know why? Because it's good.
Because it tastes good, man.
It's damn good, man. I mean,
Right.
who wants to give up ice cream and cookies and all the things? It tastes good. You know why it tastes good? Because it's designed to taste good.
Correct.
It's designed to give you that dopamine hit, that reward factor that says, it's okay. You've had a bad day. Eat the food.
And don't
Relax.
eat one chip, eat the whole bag of chips because
The
it tastes
second
good.
thing, Mike, is well, if it's not too tired, I don't have time. It's, well, I used to be fit. I used to be a lot of things. Well, that goes back to what we've already talked about in previous episodes. You're looking in the rearview mirror, man. You live where your feet are right now. Guess what? Day one or one day. The decision is yours to make that difference. And all it takes is that launch backwards. Count to one and get up and go move. Go to that gym you've been thinking about. You've been seeing all these Facebook ads somebody's paying a fortune for. Go to that gym. Hendersonville Fit Body Boot Camp is a fine gym if you're in the area. Shameless plug. But, Mike, it's the truth. And then lastly, we talked a little bit about this earlier. It's comfort and convenience is masking that slow decay. Your point, your story, exactly. You still do. You had a great life then. However, when you looked in the mirror, you didn't like what you saw back.
That's for sure.
And that weighed on you. That was a part of your life that you had to put a smile on and pretend in times that you didn't feel like, you had to carry on. You had to do that. And then at times you're like, yeah, it's okay. This is just who I am. And then finally the switch flipped and you're like, enough is enough. And you're a walking testimony. Like when you enter a room now, it's completely different than when you did back then. You were well respected because you are a good human being, a great leader, and all the things that come with it. But I don't give a damn what anybody says. When you walk into a room now, it's not what you're trying to do, but you are respected in a different manner because of how you look. You show me 5 physically fit men, and I'll show you 5 men that have their shit together, men or women, men or women.
It's natural in our little reptilian brains, right? When you see somebody who's fit, you subconsciously think about the fact that they have discipline. And if somebody has discipline, they probably don't have discipline in one aspect of their life. They've got discipline in all aspects of their life. And, there's a guy who we both know who talks about living incongruously, right? And so that's what they see when they see an executive leader who is not fit is, okay, you're talking about all this stuff, but I see you. And I'm not thinking about it consciously, but subconsciously, I'm thinking about there's something incongruous in that message. And that part's now gone away from me. I'm super glad about that. And, look, there was a long time where I looked in the mirror and thought, I look okay, right? Sort of big frame. I can kind of hold it. And then even for a couple of years when I know I didn't look okay, I kept telling myself, I look fine, look good. It's good. People like me, I look good. Did not look good. It's
but
not
what's
just,
the
go ahead.
but what's the time frame? Like here's the second part of that
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
You can't, it didn't take you 1 month to do that.
It did not.
So why would it take 1 month for it to change? Which is
Yes.
a whole nother episode.
Yes.
It's just the unintentional decline is still decline.
Yes.
Whether you're intentional about believing it or not, guess what? You're still in that decline mode.
Well, you remember Byron talking about how people on the 31st day feel like it's not working, so they give up. And that's the issue. You got to remember how you got there. And then again, it's not about motivation. It can start with motivation. I think it always starts for all of us with motivation. But once you found the motivation, you better figure out a way to get disciplined because that discipline is going to keep you going, whether you're motivated or not, at the 31st day and the 72nd day. That's why with our coaching clients, Shane, we make them take pictures because the numbers don't move all that much when you're recomping. Why? Because you're adding more muscle to the frame and peeling fat off. And it takes time for that to overcome the outcome. And so you can't see it on the scale as quickly as you can see it in the pictures. And we've got people that you can see it in 2, 3, 4 weeks. they look dramatically different. They weigh the same. So anyway, that's the issue is when you look in that mirror, man, and you finally figure out you have to own what's in the mirror. We'll talk about that more later, and say, nope, that's really me, and I got to do something about this.
Lying to yourself still lying, regardless of how you want it. You can put lipstick on the pig all you want, buddy, but you know what? A lie is still a lie, and we want people to realize it's not as complicated as it's made to be. Just get up and get to moving, because you know what? The last thing is the quote that we'll leave you with on this topic: comfort destroys success, and it starts with your body. When it starts there, it starts eroding everything else. It is just a poison that we want you to get rid of. So with that being said, Mike, let's talk a little bit now. We've talked about the decline. We've talked about the comfortable, false comfort. So how do you rebuild that foundation? Like, you have a personal story that you did it. How do you do that? What's some things that somebody can do to regain control of their body and their minds? Because to me, there's a connection there. Without the body, the mind it's not complete. And when you get both of those aligned, you can walk a straighter line. So how is it that someone can regain control of the situation?
Well, I'm gonna say a word you use all the time, and I love this word for this purpose, and it's reframing, right? So when you first start thinking about, oh man, I gotta lose this weight, I gotta do something, it feels so daunting. It feels like a thing you gotta go do, a punishment you gotta put yourself through. I'm gonna have to eat less. I'm gonna have to work out more. I'm gonna be sweaty. I'm gonna be hot. That all sounds terrible. I don't want to do any of that. But when you reframe it from a punishment to a leadership discipline, and you say, look, fitness is a leadership discipline, whether you're leading your organization, your family, yourself. If you're not fit, like I just talked about, people aren't going to believe in you the same way they're going to believe in you when you're fit. And so if you're a leader, and we're all leaders, we talked about that already, think about it as a leadership discipline that you have to do. It is non-negotiable. It's part of what you do, like brushing your teeth, like whatever, paying your taxes, going to work. It's just part of what you do to be the leader that's expected. And everybody's got different philosophies on what fitness is. I will tell you that based on my experience, and I think based on your experience, strength training has to be the foundation of fitness. It is the foundation of vitality. I was just reading an article about this gym that opened up in New York by a doctor, and he a great training program that I like is Starting Strength, and he learned from the Starting Strength program, and he opened it up for older people in their 70s, 80s, 90s who couldn't get off the couch, and all he did is strength train with them under the Starting Strength program, 3 days a week, deadlift, squat, overhead press, bench press, uh, and 92% of his clients are now living extremely comfortably, very, very healthy. Some 85-year-old woman deadlifting 200 pounds off the floor, had never touched a weight in her life. And so it's not about going to punish yourself for 2 hours on a run. It's not about you know getting on the stair stepper for 20 minutes and then moving over to the treadmill and then moving. You don't have to kill yourself to do this, but you do have to do this intentionally and with strength as a background. And then you work in the cardio stuff to get your heart rate strong, but it isn't the total training program.
So something you said earlier is, strength training itself. Strength training is not optional. It is your insurance policy. You want to live a long life? That's your insurance policy, man.
Uh-huh.
And you have to find the blend that works for you. 3 or 4 strength workouts a week mixed with some cardio type movements in there as well. It's simple, quality. Take this pencil, for example. One of the analogies I use, talk about regaining control, right? Yes, strength training and all that is essential, but it's just a piece, right? If you want to regain control, but you still have to start with the first piece. Then you start, what do we say all the time? Then you start hitting those
Back those
singles.
habits. Yep.
You start stacking the habits, because unfortunately, that's only one part of the pie that
Uh-huh.
has to change. However, get the strength training sessions in, get the workouts in, move your body. If it's to where you can only go for a walk in the beginning, go for a walk. If it's 1 time a week, 2 times a week, build off that success. Don't get discouraged because you can't go to the gym and rip out 4 strength days. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that is the ultimate goal, to fully restart regaining all that composure. Start where you feel like it fits. Protein, man. Water is the first floor of the elevator. Protein's the rest of the floors of the elevator, man. And I tell people that all the time. Like, you're not eating enough food. You're not eating enough. And it
It blows their
mind
mind
blow.
because you think, oh, I got to lose weight. I have to stop eating. I can't eat enough food to meet my goals, my
You
objectives.
have to eat more protein focused food.
Well, and why is that, right? So people think that they probably do eat way more calories than they should, but when we put folks into macro controlled diets where we're giving them higher levels of protein than they've ever been used to before, they're eating less total calories, but they feel way more full. What is that? Why does that happen?
Well, it's part of the density of the food that we're eating, right? A lot of this stuff is filler and it's just I don't want to get down that road. But when it comes to protein itself, what I like to tell people is think about protein as an IV drip. Okay. Think about that analogy. So people talk about fasting and all that. Okay. As we go to bed at night, what is technically happening during the time we lay down and the time we wake up? We are in a natural fast. Also, what is happening during that time is we are into a natural state of recovery and regeneration of muscle cell. Well, what do we need to do to maximize the opportunity to feel better the next day and
Eat a
be
lot of
able to
sugar.
continue on? Exactly
Yep.
not what you want to
Wild.
do.
Okay.
However, what do people do before they go to bed?
Eat a lot of sugar. Eat a lot of carbs.
And what happens? You're not gaining anything by this. That is not your reward for going to the gym. That has the absolute worst opposite effect of what you can do, because your body's going to break all those simple sugars and sugars down completely different. You're going to wake up with the brain fog. You're going to feel terrible. Your muscles have not recovered. So, before you go to bed at night, typically 2 to 3 hours before you sleep, so you can have proper digestion, quality protein. Quality protein, 20, 30 plus grams of protein. Guess what? That's going to start the process at night. What's the first thing you're going to do in the morning? You're going to hydrate. What's next? Protein. Get that first good dose of protein. Why? Because you're coming out of that fast and you want that natural homeostasis protein synthesis effect to start over again of that muscle regeneration and repair. So at that point, Mike, and like I said, I can get deep in the weeds because I love nutrition. People that go and don't eat food, okay? Well, I'm not eating it. I should be. Well, here's the problem. If you are not eating and you're effectively living a busy life and you're adding in workouts, which is great, guess what your body has to do to get through all these things? They has to have energy. Well, if you're not fueling your body with the proper foods, where do you think it gets the energy from? Gets it from your muscles.
Feel what you've already built.
So what are you doing in the gym? You're doing this. You're gaining this much. I'm telling you, I talk to a lot of people about nutrition every single day, and protein is the key ingredient. Eat protein forward meals. 20 minutes a day. We want to get some time a day, 20 to 30 minutes on top of our working out. That's where your walk can come in. Be intentional. Take your kids on a walk.
Well, you had a little short on this earlier this week on movement, right? And I think folks go back, take a look at that. Spot on. 20 minutes of movement a day will change everything, gives you clarity, gives you the ability to prioritize and focus on the things you want to get after, but it also adds this bit of cardio to your life that you really need.
Absolutely. And then, with that weekly structure, once you start getting everything nailed in, add in that core and conditioning. Build that part of your body. The core is the strongest piece. To me, that's what I tell everybody. That is your tree trunk. That is the foundation from how your body will maneuver top to bottom. Strong core means that you are effectively strong from top to bottom. So build that part of your body, which can be done a variety of ways. We're not going to get that deep into that episode today, but those are just simple things that you can do to start regaining that control of your life. It all starts with one step at a time. So, Mike, when we go back and break some of these down, strength is a non-negotiable starting point in how nutrition fuels that leadership. So from there, if that's the case, the tactical steps for our listeners, how do we want to proceed with that? How do we go from the decision to start to the discipline to continue? And I love how that was framed, because that's what it takes. I deal with motivation every day. Necessary piece of the puzzle. However, motivation fades, and it fades a lot quicker than we think it will. And that's when you know who's going to survive, because the disciplined ones will be the ones to say, this is just who I am and this is what I'm going to do. So if you was to give me a few steps of your opinion of what can somebody do from the going decision to discipline, what would you say that would be?
Yeah, step one is own the mirror, like I talked about before. What you see in the mirror, you have to own it, and you have to. It's very easy to look in the mirror and dismiss it. You have to actually look at yourself and say, "Okay, I see the problem, and I'm accountable for the problem. It's not my schedule. It's not my job. It's not my family. It's not my dog that keeps me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's you. The decisions you're making in all the other hours of the day. With you have to have awareness and you have to have honesty about what's going on. That's step one. Step two, okay, now you know what the problem is. Just like everything else in life, pick a plan and commit to it. Make it part of your daily non negotiables. It's not easy at first. People say 30 days to build a habit. I think in this case, when you're talking about trying to make a lifelong commitment to something, it's probably more like 60 or 90 days until you really truly start to understand how it's going to help you build and how it's going to help you to live a better life. And then you got to build a calendar discipline, right? You've picked a plan. You know what you're going to go do. You've committed to it. You got to put it in your calendar, like we've discussed before. You've got to calendarize this and protect that time. It's very easy to figure out that there's something else you should be doing instead of getting your workout in. I know you like to get your workouts in bright and early in the morning. I don't. I like to get them done at the end of the day. The vast majority of people like to get their workouts done in the morning because it's protected. No one can interrupt that time. What I do instead is I just block that time and don't let anyone disrupt it. And on the odd day that something does come up, I've got a client meeting or a dinner or something that I've got to navigate. I'll know that well in advance. Not like that pops up, and I just reshuffle my schedule to make sure that that can happen. I'll go at noon, or I will go early in the morning, whatever. Not my preferred avenue, but I'll get it done because it's not negotiable. So that's step three: build a calendar. Step four: we talk about nutrition and protein and macros. It sounds like a lot. Work with somebody who understands this stuff because they can really simplify this down for you. It's really just eat as close to the base product as you can. If we're talking about protein, we're not talking about protein bars and shakes, although you might have to get your total content. We're talking about steaks and chicken and eggs and stuff that's really close to the source. And we're talking about carbohydrates. We're not talking about rice-a-roni and mama's noodle dish. We're talking about white rice. Very simple. We're talking about simple carbohydrate choices that don't make things complicated. And by the way, fat's not bad. You need fat. We're talking about how the types of fats that you should have, and not polysaturated fats and those sorts of things. But good oils and clear butters and things like that are really important for your diet. And frankly, if you prioritize protein, you're probably going to get the fats you need anyway, just through your protein source. So again, people can help you sort this out. Simplify your nutrition. Don't go into crazy diet mode. You don't have to pick up the latest Atkins or the whatever. There's a really easy way for you to get there. And I think this was probably the greatest breakthrough for me. By the way, you can work out all dang day. You could work out 24/7. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but you could be on a great program and do absolutely everything under that program and not modify your nutrition, not track your macros, not track your calories, and nothing will change. I mean, Shane, we go to the gym all the time and see people that look the exact same. They've been in the gym 3 years. They look the exact same as the day they walked in.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So I want to go back to one thing you said, a couple things with
Okay.
that, because you had some really solid points there that I wanted to pick apart here a little bit. Not pick apart, but add on to. So step one, you said own the mirror. Going back to you put me on this, and it's funny. I told you the pastor actually referenced this book in the sermon the other day, which I found to be remarkable. But Let Them by Mel Robbins. One of the things in the book is when you're looking in that mirror, give yourself a high five. So not only you own in the mirror, once you start to make that decision to change, celebrate yourself, man. And I feel like that's where some people still get this so wrong, is they have such high expectations for themselves that they don't go give themselves any grace for the changes that they are making. So own the mirror. First, you realize, okay, there's a problem I need to rectify. But once you own it, celebrate that as a win, because guess what? That is the hardest part typically, is recognizing the problem.
Yeah, you know what?
Then
That's
give
a good
yourself a
step
damn high
1A.
five, man.
I agree. Yeah.
Celebrate the wins and don't get lost in social media perfectness, because nobody's perfect. But then the second thing I wanted to bring up is you were talking about the simplifying of nutrition and, eating the protein. What my recommendation to people is once they get a little bit higher understanding of macro understanding is, first of all, you are the puppet master. Meaning what? when I get told I can't hit my proteins, fats, or carbs, okay, who controls that? You do. How do you get ahead of it? You put it in the night before, right? Then you control everything, but that's getting deep in the weeds. My point to this is you said not always protein bars and shakes, because now I get hit with, well, I'm not eating a lot of whole food, but I'm drinking a shake for breakfast, lunch, and a bar for dinner. I'm like, that's better than nothing. Okay, you're getting protein, but you're getting a lot of synthesized proteins at this point. You need real food. So here's my point to that: is once you have your baseline set, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, the total compounding of amounts of protein you're getting in those 3 meals. Where's the gaps? How much protein do I have left to hit my target for the day? That is where you feel with the shake and the bar. That's when you say, okay, these are ancillary things that I'm going to do, not the primary things, because unfortunately, that's another problem. Again, it's opinionated, is people rely way too heavily on these products, and there's a lot of value to them, but those are not going to change you the way you want to be changed versus eating real quality food protein. Okay, so that was my point on your protein. Lastly, back to my wonderful pencil. You didn't know I was going to be using props today,
That's
did you?
no, I didn't. I should have brought my prop docs. I didn't know.
So back to the pencil. Your point was, if you don't change your nutrition, you will not change. I agree with that 100%. And it took me a long time to understand how properly fueling your body and understanding nutrition can completely shatter any limitation you thought was possible with your body. I'm in the best shape of my life at almost fixing to be 49 years old. You know why? Because I finally understand nutrition and I respect it. So back to the pencil. Exercise is a vital, important piece of nutrition. It's 10% of the battle. If this pencil represents total caloric burn for the day, you're only getting 10% of the battle with exercise. That means what? Mike, you control the other 90%. I can't help you. I can't hold the spoon, I can't hold the fork, and I can't put the food on it for you. But until you're willing to change this other 90%, you, my friend, as they say in the country, are pissing in the wind, because it is not going to get any better. You might feel better, but if you can just take small bites of that apple, man.
Man,
Take small bites.
I got a client, yeah, and I'm coaching him now, and he's doing all the work, and he'll track 2 days and won't track for 70. I'll send him out. I'm like, why aren't you tracking? He said, oh, I'm doing okay. So you have no idea how you're doing. First of all, we'll get into tracking that whole thing in another episode, because just protein alone, we could talk for days. But I close my comment to him with, you can work out all day long, all you want, and you're making small progress. Look at your pictures. But imagine where you would have been by now, 2 months in, had you followed the damn program and done the other 90%. Yeah, he's pissing in the wind. So
there you go.
yep.
That is. So a little bit stack wins, build the momentum, man. Atomic habits breed, marathons weren't ran in one step. You're going to take a lot of steps to get there. So Mike, a little bit more about what we do, how we do it. What's something that somebody could do right now today if they wanted to count down backwards from the launch sequence, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? How could we help somebody make a radical change in their life today? What's something, what can they do that we can help with?
Well, I think we're probably a little partial to the best way to do this, and we'll share some of that. But first is choose any legitimate plan. Don't pick up an off the fly by night some Instagram coach who probably hasn't. Who's probably 19 and looks that way because they're 19. So find somebody who knows what they're talking about, and you happen to have two guys right now talking to you because we know what we're talking about this topic. That's why we're here. We got together through this learning and engagement of our own. I happen to be a professionally certified coach. Shane runs a gym. We know what we're talking about, and we can help you. So if you go to our website, it's www.leadershipignitionteam.com. You click on that fuel and focus section, you can learn about the programs that we run, Shane, right? So we've got our own app, and so we'll pre-program your workouts for you. They'll show up daily in your app. You don't even have to wonder what's going on tomorrow. You just open up the app when you get to the gym. It's all there. There's videos on what to do, the rep count, the set count, the rest periods are all there. We'll program your macros for you. We'll talk to you about, what do you have access to, what kind of gym equipment, what are your interests, because your interest might be to get bigger, it might be to get smaller, it might be to get in shape for that 30th high school reunion, whatever, that's 6 months from now. So we want to understand that so we can build a very clear both strength and nutrition based program for you. And in our app, you can track your nutrition every single day. So you'll be able to track against the targets we give you: protein, carbs, fats, etc. And then it's when I say we, it's really we. It's Shane and I. We're your coaches. So you get a chance to talk to us on a biweekly basis. We'll schedule 30-minute calls with you. We'll go through what's going on, how's it going, what progress are you making. We'll look at those pictures, which is part no one likes to do. But in the end, they love that they did them. I certainly didn't. But now I'm glad I got that sequence of pictures that I can go back and look at and kick my own butt from time to time. And our program's great, man. I think this is built for our kind of audience. It's built for high performers who are short on time. It's super simple to follow. It's strength based, like we talked about. Strength is the foundation. It's macro based, so we're talking about how do you control those things that really give you that other 90% of growth. And boiling it all down, it's built specifically for adults who want to take back their fitness, who want to take back their health. Any other thoughts on our program from you, Shane?
No, I think that was an excellent summary. I think that's, like I said, it's not rocket science what we're doing. It's just a greater understanding and appreciation because I had no idea. I truly had no idea. I had to be taught this. The same as
And
people
we've had
walk
doctors in
around.
our program who
Yeah.
had no idea, right?
And
And
they,
it,
go
they just
ahead.
didn't understand it. They didn't understand macros.
Yeah.
They didn't understand, how strength was more important than cardio, etc.
You think that you're not doing that bad until you actually start truly understanding the fundamentals and tracking a little bit, then you realize this is not good. I was, way overeating in the wrong areas. So again, it's being taught the skill and having someone that will truly hold you accountable, but also lift you up in ways to help you along the way, right? That's what we want to do is we want to give back in all four of the F bombs. Today's episode covered a lot of the fitness portion of it, but that's where a lot of our change started. I'm not saying one's more important than the other, obviously, but that is a very important aspect that seems to be left on the shelf too much these days, and not enough people are saying it. You're either in shape or you're not. You're either getting fitter or you're getting fatter, brother. That's the reality of the situation. Now, obviously, there's certain situations with health and all those other. We're not saying that. These are people that making active choices to not engage in physical activity that are more than capable to do so. So, with that, Mike, it's start today, man. If we got a final call to action or a final takeaway, it's just launch. Just start today. What's stopping you? Why are you going to wait and say, well, the funny thing is when you get in the middle of the month, I'll start September 1st. No, you won't. No, you won't. You know
Well,
why? Because you're going to talk yourself out of it.
the easiest is I'll start Monday. Yeah,
Once it gets to September,
what are
guess
we,
what?
Tuesday?
I'll start January 1st. It's the
Right.
year of me, baby.
Right.
The year of me. Don't wait. Just start today.
Well, and we say this stuff because we're guilty of it. We did it too. We did the same crap. And then the freedom, the breakthrough on the other side is so worth it. I'm telling you, it's so worth it. You got to start today.
It is definitely worth it. You take control back of your life. Your children need an example to look up to if you have kids. If you don't, I guarantee you there's still somebody else out there watching you. Be the lighthouse, man.
Shane, how many times do people just stop you and say, man, you inspire me. I'm going to start because, and I'm going to do this now. And I see you. Does it happen to you all the time?
More than obviously that it used to. And it always catches me off guard a little bit because I don't feel like I should be in that spotlight. But I also recognize that I am willing to take the initiative to do those things that put me in that area. And I love to hear that. I'm like, I love that.
Well,
How
the
can
reason
I
I
help
ask
you?
is not to boost your ego, but to get other people to understand the kind of demonstration they can create in their own communities, in their own families. When they take control, people will notice and they'll want to know how. And if you like to help other people, man, there's no better way. And here's one
Absolutely.
last point that I want to make, and then I'd love to have you just go down the action challenges one more time. Is I was always afraid of that big guy in the gym, the guy who was ripped, who was huge, who was. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to be in the gym at the same time because I don't want to be judged about the way I was lifting or my form. And I'm telling you, those are the people in the gym who you'll get to become one of those people, by the way, one day if you get committed and you stay focused, who want your success more than you do. So don't be afraid of the people in the gym. That's one of the reasons people still don't go. They're worried about what's going to happen when they get there. Those people in the gym are going to be your guiding lights. Shane, go ahead and
Absolutely.
finish this challenges.
Absolutely agree. So, a couple of action challenges for the week we want to issue, okay? Simple, not complicated. If you don't have any technology that does this, that's absolutely okay. Guess what you do have? A pencil. Man, this baby is coming handy today.
That's strong.
A pencil and a piece of paper works just fine because that's how we used to all have to do it. Track your food for 3 days. And if you're not willing to track your food, here's my other thing: track your protein, track your water intake, and track your protein. If you do
You'll be
nothing else,
surprised how little protein you actually consume in a day.
see, you could get a quick snapshot off the label. Like, or that's not asking for much. And in fact, that's probably the easier action than anything else if you're not used to it. Write down how many ounces of water you drink and how many grams of protein per day you're taking in. Do you know how much protein you need to be taking in? There's a lot of questions there, but it's probably not near enough. The second thing is define what a workout means for you. If you're a beginner, that's clearly different than someone that's been moving around, but define what a workout is and try to get 2 or 3 workouts in this week. If that's walking for 5 minutes, guess what? That's 5 minutes times 3 that you didn't walk last week. That is a compounding win that will eventually have you running if that's what you want to do, right? I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, go to the gym, stay in there for 10 minutes, whatever it is you're going to do. Find time to do 3 times this week. Lastly, Mike, is we love to share victories. We love to share wins, and we love to celebrate people. If this has inspired you to do any of these things, or you have any questions for us, ask. We promise we will definitely get back to you. Post that workout, post that walk, tag us, DM us, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the ways that we have. We want to hear from you. We love to celebrate you. So those are some action challenges for the week, Mike. How can people find us?
Well, I love that, Shane. You can find us on our website. Start there first, leadershipignitionteam.com, and then obviously all the socials. But I think that ends it for us today. And another great episode, man. Thanks for doing this with me. Why don't you close this out?
All right, Mike, that's going to put a bow on this week's episode. Again, thank you guys for joining us. As always, put yourself in position to win with your fitness. Follow those action steps. Let us know how it's going. And then, as always,
Let's get lit.
Get lit, baby.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.